श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। So while explaining the three words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, so Shankaracharya has made it very clear that these are the Visheshana adjectives of Brahma, that is Visheshya. And in this context he has said that Satyadi Satyadibhi Tribhihi Visheshanaihi Visheshyamanam Brahma Visheshyantarebhyo Nirdharyate. So generally, what is the purpose of an adjective? It is to distinguish a particular object from other objects. So if there are several objects, if you want to distinguish a particular object from others, so you can say this is red, this is blue. So the adjectives used there, they generally distinguish. So here also the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, these three words distinguish the Brahman from other. Evam hi tad jnanam bhavati yat anyebhyo nirdharitam. So in this way, we can understand or know the object which is distinguished from the other objects and ascertain. So we can get a very clear, perfect knowledge of the object. Yatha loke neelam mahat sugandhi utpalam iti. So when somebody says there is a lotus which is of blue color, which is great, and which is sugandhi, fragrant. So all these words used for this lotus, they actually distinguish the particular object from similar other objects. So first thing what we understand is it is a lotus. So naturally this word makes us understand that the object is a lotus. So it is not other than lotus. Similarly, when it is said it is blue lotus, so red lotus, etc. are separated. So in a way, this distinguishes that particular object from all other objects. So that is the purpose of the adjective. But a question may arise. Nanu Visheshyam Visheshanantaram Vibhicharat Visheshyate. Now, the doubt is any particular object that is intended to be distinguished, Visheshyam, Visheshanantaram Vyabhicharat Visheshyate. So that is being distinguished from other only when there is a kind of Vyavartana, Vyavritti. Yatha Neelam Raktam cha Utpalam. So, Neelam, Raktam, when there are so many things having different adjectives, then you use a particular adjective to distinguish that from other similar one. So when there is a red lotus, there is a blue lotus. So naturally you use the word to distinguish so that the hearer can have a clear understanding of the object. Yadahi anekani dravyani ekajatiyani aneka visheshana yogini cha tada visheshanasya arthavatvam. This is very important, that when there are so many substances or objects, ekajatiyakani, and they belong to same species or class, aneka visheshana yogini cha, and they belong to same species but have different adjectives, then visheshanasya arthavatvam, then the adjective becomes meaningful because the adjective is used to distinguish. Eka jatiyakani, for example, there are so many lotuses having different adjectives like red lotus, blue lotus, etc. Then you use a particular adjective meaningfully to distinguish that from other. So this is possible. Nahi ekasminneva vastuni visheshanantara ayogat. है ना, नहीं एकस्मिन् वस्तुनि. Why? Visheshanantara ayogat. But if there is only one object, so there is no possibility of another adjective itself. So what is the use of using these adjectives? Because they don't serve any purpose. There is single object. It cannot be differentiated from other objects. So what is the use of employing these adjectives? That is the problem. Yatha asau eka aditya iti. When there is one sun, Aditya, so you say ekaha aditya. So how can you use adjectives? So adjectives are meaningless. Similarly, ekameva cha Brahma. The Brahma is also single. So there is no question of distinguishing that from other Brahma. So why do you use the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma? Na Brahmantarani yebhyo visheshyeta nilotpala. So nilotpalavat Brahma visheshyeta. Okay, if there are two or more than two Brahma, so you can say this Brahma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam and it is distinguished from other Brahma. But when there is only one Brahma, so what is the use of using this Satyam Jnanam Anantam? As such, Dve Vava Brahmano Rupe Murtancha Amurtancha. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also it is stated that Brahma has two, you cannot say form, it is only two dimensions. One is Murta and other is Amurta, manifest and unmanifest. And people say, Dve Brahmani Veditavye, two Brahmas are there to be known. Paracha, Parancha, Aparancheti, one is Parabrahma and other is Aparabrahma. Dve Brahmani Veditavye, they have stated. So, on the basis of these Vakya, we cannot say that Brahma are two or many. Brahma is one. Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. Then, what about this number? When Ekam Eva Advitiyam, the Upanishad states, there is no question of having more than one Brahma. But that one is also not oneness, the number. It is absoluteness. That means it doesn't have any other than itself. So that absolute nature of Brahma is stated by Eka, not the number. Now, Shankaracharya explains this, the purpose of the adjectives. Lakshanarthatvad Visheshananam. The purpose of Visheshana, the purpose of adjectives is defining the object, not distinguishing. So this is Lakshanatvad. So that the adjectives also serve the purpose as definition. So for that purpose only the words are used in the Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Na ayam doshaha kasmat yasmat lakshanartha pradhanani visheshanani na visheshana pradhanani eva. So though the words Satyam Jnanam Anantam are used to distinguish the Brahman, so you understand that the words are not used to distinguish it from other, but basically to define that, to characterize that particular Brahman. So if anybody wants to know the Brahman, then Satyam is Brahma, Jnanam is Brahma, Anantam is Brahma. So this way they define the Brahma. Kaf punar lakshana lakshayor visheshna visheshyor va vishesha iti. So naturally the opponent asks, what is the difference between these two? Visheshana visheshya laksha lakshana. So now you say these words are employed to define Brahma, not to distinguish. Then what is the difference? There is definition and the thing to be defined. There is distinguishing mark and the thing to be distinguished. So what is the difference? Uchyate. Shankaracharya is further explaining. Samana jatiyebhyeva nivartakani visheshanani visheshyasya. So the distinguishing factors, the visheshana, they are visheshyasya samana jatiyebhyah nivartakani. So the distinguishing factors distinguish that particular object from homogeneous object. That means from the things of similar class. Lakshanam tu sarvata eva. But when you define a particular object, that definition, it differentiates that particular object from all, not similar, even dissimilar. That means it actually differentiates that particular object from similar and dissimilar also. So this is the difference. Iti yatha avakasha pradat trakashamiti. So when we use the word akasham, avakasha pradatr, that means while defining the element akasha, space, when we say avakasha pradatr akasham, that means space is that element which provides that gap or space between two. In modern physics also, when they define space, they say it is nothing but arrangement of objects is space. So the matter is so placed, so that particular the substratum of all is known as space, and space is one, but still it is defined. So this way it can be defined. Lakshanarthancha vakyam ityavochama. So we have already stated that the vakya, that the sentence Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is to serve the purpose as a definition. So this is the definition. And therefore, even in the Brahma Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha, these three are taken as Swarupa Lakshana. This is actually as against the word Yato Vaimani Bhutani Jayante, because those sentences serve the purpose as Tatastha Lakshana. And Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, they become the Swarupa Lakshana of Brahma. So thus, an object can have both Lakshana of two types. One is Swarupa Lakshana, other is Tatastha Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana, whatever is employed there, that becomes the very nature of the object, Swarupa. And Tatastha is only Kadachit Katve Sati Vyavartakatva. That means that which is with the object for some time, but which leaves the object at another time. Like Janma Sthiti Samhara, Srushti Sthiti Samhara. These may designate Brahman, but Brahman is there even when these are not there. That means Brahman is the reality even when the world is not there. And creation, sustenance, and dissolution, they pertain to the world. So therefore, the Srushti Sthiti Samhara are the Tatastha Lakshana, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, these are the Swarupa Lakshana. Satyadi Shabdaha na Parasparam Sambadhyante Pararthatvat. And another important thing we should understand, that these three words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, they are not to be connected mutually. Parasparam na Sambadhyante. That means they don't have mutual relation. All the three are meant here to designate some other thing, Parartha, and that Param is Brahma. So all the three words are employed for the sake of the Brahman and not for their own sake. Visheshartha hite. So all these words are for the Vishesha, and that Vishesha is the Brahman. So therefore, they don't have mutual relation. They may be in the same case, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Oh, then somebody may understand that Jnanam is Satyam, Satyam is Jnanam, Jnanam is Anantam, Anantam is Jnanam. Then there will not be any other Vishesha. But actually, all the three are the Visheshana for another Vishesha, that is Brahma. So this we should understand. Ataeva ekaiko Visheshana Shabdaha Paraspara Nirapeksho Brahma Shabdena Sambadhyate. Therefore, each one in the sentence relates to the Brahman. So you get three different sentences: Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma iti. So this way you get three sentences. Satyam is Brahma, Jnanam is Brahma, Anantam is Brahma. So we should understand that Satyam Brahma, that means Brahman is reality or reality is Brahma. Two, Jnanam is Brahma. That means cognition, consciousness is Brahma. And third, Anantam Brahma, unlimited is Brahma. So in this way, we get three different sentences. Satyamiti. Now Shankaracharya starts explaining these three words in their true sense. How are they to be understood? One, Satyamiti. Take the word Satyam. What is Satyam? Yadrupena yanishchitam tadrupam na vyabhicharati. Tat Satyam. So whatever is ascertained in whatever form, if that particular object does never leave that particular nature, that is Satyam. In Upanishad, Sa, Ti, Yam, three words are taken together and made into one as Satyam. But here, Shankaracharya explains that, saying, Yadrupena yannischitam tadrupam na vyabhicharati. Na vyabhicharati. That means it does not violate. So when a particular object is stated to possess a particular nature or have the nature, and if it does not violate that, it is Satyam. Agnihi Ushnaha. When somebody says that fire is hot, yes, this is its Satyam. Satyanna Pramaditavyam. So therefore, the Taittiriya Upanishad itself says that we should never deviate or make mistakes in realizing the reality. That means our entire life should be devoted for the realization of the Brahman, the ultimate reality. There we should not make mistakes or we should not slip away from that. So that is Satyam. But in the Yoga Bhashya, while explaining the word Satyam there in that context, Yoganga, Vyasa Bhashya says, Yadharthe Vangmanase Satyam. It is actually, it pertains to the speech. So when the mind and speech refer to an object and does not deviate, it is Satyam. That means when the mind receives an object as it is, and our speech also refers to that without any mistake, it is Satyam. And when that particular object is possessing a particular nature, when our mind perceives that and expresses that, it is Satya. And that's why it is known as Tattvam also. As Nyaya Sutra Bhashya says, Tattvam, what is Tattvam? Satascha sadbhavaha, asatascha asadbhavas cheti. So it says, the very nature of an existent thing, a very nature of a non-existent thing also is Tattva. So Tattva Jnana, when we say, it is actually knowing an existent thing as existing and knowing a non-existing thing as non-existent. It is actually Tattva Jnana. So that should be in conformity with the object. If object is existent, then knowledge should be like that only. That is Tattva Jnana. So Satyam is actually Tattva Jnana. Yadrupena nishchitam yadrupam vyabhicharati tad anrutam. And when something is actually violating or deviating from its true nature, you understand it is anrutam. For example, the world appearance is anrutam because it is the Brahman, but we are unable to perceive that. So the world is perceived in a different form. It is anrutam. Anrutena pratyudhaha. The Upanishad says that everything is anruta. That's why in the Ishavas Upanishad, what does he say? Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apihitam mukham tatvam pushan apavrunu satya dharmaya drishtaye. So he says, my true nature is Satya. But one beautiful, attractive cover or wheel is there. Please unveil that, remove that wheel, so that I'll get the true understanding or realization of that particular reality. So I am the reality, but I am unable to perceive that. Please remove the wheel of ignorance so that I'll get a clear understanding. So this is the prayer there. And the same thing can be applied to the world experience, that the world appears very attractive, and because of its attractive nature, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Sparsha, Shabda, because of these five, we are unable to get to the core reality. Our vision is blurred, and because of this attractive nature of the world, we are unable to understand the reality as the Brahman, and this attraction is known as Maya. And our inability in understanding that is known as Avidya. So, hey Bhagavan, please remove that so that I can get a clear glimpse of the reality. And once it is realized, then there is no further bondage itself. Ato vikaraha anritam. What is anrita? What is asatya? Whatever is produced, whatever is created is all anrita. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrittika ityeva satyam. Chandogya Upanishad says that Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. So all that is produced, modified, and has a name and form is Vacharambhanam, is only a thing referred by word, or only a kind of communication. Vacharambhana. So it is communicated through words. Namadheyam, and it carries some name, and Vikara is form. Mrittika ityeva satyam. But ultimately, you understand, Mrittika, the cause is real, like the clay. Several things can be formed from the clay, like a jar, like a pot, anything can be made. But understand that they are all made up of one clay. Clay is real, clay is the ultimate reality. Similarly, in the world also, several things are created, being created every moment, but all they have a single substratum, a prime cause, that is the prime matrix of the universe, and it is the Brahman. And everything else is a modification, and all modifications are only anritam, unreal. Evam sadeva satyam ityavadharana. So in this way, it is stated there, Sat, that itself is the Satyam, and that is none other than the Brahman. Brahma vikara nivartayati. So in this way, vikarat nivartayati. So it says, when you use the word Satyam, it means that everything else is Asatyam, Vikara, Anrita, and it distinguishes Brahman from all the Asatya. And everything else than Brahman is also differentiated, that they don't have any ultimate reality, absolute reality. They are only temporary, they are of transient nature. So this is explained there. Ataha karanatvam praptam brahmanaha. Then naturally it amounts to say that the Brahman is the cause. As such, is there any cause and effect relation in the world? Gaudapada Karika and Bhashya very clearly say that there is no Srushti at all, Ajata Vada. Then how can you say that the Brahman is the cause? But as long as you have the perception of the world, understand the Brahman as the cause, And once you get to the ultimate state, then automatically the world appearance, world understanding will leave you. कारणस्य च कारकत्वं वस्तुत्वात् मृद्वत् अचिद्रूपता च प्राप्ता अत इदमुच्यते ज्ञानं ब्रह्मेति. So if only Satyam Brahma is stated there, then it amounts to say again that all karana becomes a karaka. That means an involvement of kriya, because with the relation or in relation with the kriya only, something is known as karaka. Because in the Vyakarana Shastra also it is very clearly stated that kriya sambandhadhi karakam uchyate. So kriya sambandha should be there. Kriya janakatavachedakam, it is stated there. So vastutvat, then whatever is karaka, it becomes vastu, real. And mridvat achidrupata, and another problem is it becomes insentient, like clay. Prapta ata idam uchyate. So there is a problem, and that's why the second word is also taken there, jnanam brahma. So jnanam, it automatically differentiates Brahman from these insentient objects like clay, etc. Clay is not jnana, so Brahman is separated from that. Jnanam, what is jnanam? Jnaptir avabodhaha. It is nothing but consciousness or cognition. Bhavasadhano jnana shabdaha. So jnayate iti jnanam. So jnanam iti, according to the Sanskrit grammar, this is bhavasadhanaha. Jnayate iti jnanam. This is bhavarthaka pratyaya, natu karanarthaka. Bhavasadhana, natu jnana kartru. So you cannot say jnanam is equal to jnana kartru. Jnana kartru, that means that which produces knowledge is jnanam. Yes, it is used in that sense also, but it is not used in that sense when it is used in the sense of Brahma. So jnanam, the word may give different meanings. Jnayate iti jnanam, jnana kartru jnanam, jnayate aneneti jnanam, jnayate atra iti jnanam. So several explanations are possible. But the problem is, when it is used for Brahman, it is used only in one sense, that is bhavartha. Jnayate iti jnanam, natu jnana kartru. Brahma visheshanatvat satya anantabhyam saha. Because the other two words are also should be they are also important. They should be taken into note. They are ananta and satya. Two other words are there in the same context. So satyam, jnanam, anantam, that is Brahma, and Brahma is not jnana kartru. It is very important. Nahi satyanantata cha jnana kartrutve sati upapadyate. When something is jnana kartru, then it cannot be satya, it cannot be ananta, because kartruta is a limited state. Satyam and anantatva, they are not limited. So that is the difference. So when they are also used in the same context, when the word jnana should be understood in relation with the other two words, so you cannot say one jnana is jnana kartru. So it seems here that Shankaracharya had other commentaries before him, like Bhartru Prapancha, even Dramidacharya, and even Bodhayana Vritti, etc. Because they may have taken this particular word in that sense. Later, some of these ideas were taken by Ramanujacharya and others, and they have strongly supported this kind of interpretation. But Shankaracharya says the word jnana should not be taken in the sense of jnana kartru, because it goes against the other two words satyam and anantam. So therefore you take the word jnana in the sense of jnayate iti bhavarthaka. Jnana kartrutvena hi vikriyamanam katham satyam bhaved anantancha. So once you take the word jnana in the sense of jnana kartru, then automatically a particular vikara is indicated there. That means some vikara, because whenever there is kriya, so kriya janya vikara will be there. And once vikara is there, that it cannot be satya and ananta. That is the problem. Yadhina kutaschit pravibhajyate tad anantam. What is ananta? Ananta is that which can never be divided. Kutaschit na pravibhajyate, which cannot be classified, divided. That is ananta. Jnana kartrutvecha. Then when it is jnana kartru, that means something is created, that particular knowledge or cognition is created when you say, and the creating agent is Brahma when you say. The problem is that is automatically separated from Jnaya and Jnana. Jnaya is the object of cognition and Jnana is the cognition itself. So when you take the word Jnana in the sense of Jnana Kartru, that is the agent, creating agent, then the object of cognition and the cognition itself are separated from that. Then it cannot be Ananta because it has limitation. Nasyat. Yatra nanyad vijanati na sabhuma. So that state is known as Bhuma. Bhuma, that is Mahat. And that Bhuma is Brahma. Bhuma samprasadat adhyupadeshat. So the Brahma Sutra is there. Dharmopapattescha. It does very clearly say that Brahman is the Bhuma, not the Sushupti state. So therefore, ultimately, you understand that whatever is Ananta should be Brahman and it should be Jnana and not Jnana Kartru. Atha yatra anyad vijanati tad alpam tad martyam. So wherever you understand the limited, it is alpa, it is martya. That's why in the Yoga Sutra also, in the last chapter, he very clearly says, Patanjali Maharshi, Tadanim Jnataha Chittavrittayaha. See, a particular state comes that the Atma knows all the Chittavritti, then Sarvavarna Malapetasya Jnanasya Anantyat Jneyam Alpam. This is very important sutra, that a particular state comes. And in that particular state, Jnana becomes so all-pervading, endless, that before that, the object of knowledge becomes very small, less. So, object is less and the knowledge itself is more. Iti Shrutyantarat. Nanyad Vijanati. So, in that Chandogya Upanishad sentence, there is a sentence, Nanyad Vijanati. There is a state in which he does not know. That means he will not be aware of any other. So that is the sentence. Taking that, the opponent argues, Nanyat Vijanati iti Vishesha Pratishedhat. So you are in a way negating any Vishesha, any particularity. De Tasmat Atmanam Vijanati iti chet. So can we take that particular sentence in the sense of negating everything other than the Atman? So knowing the Atman is possible there. Why not? So the Atma knows itself and then it will become Jnana Kartru. Iti Chetana. But Shankaracharya does not endorse this view. Says Bhuma Lakshana Vidhi Paratvat Vakyasya. See, actually the sentence is to define the Bhuma, that is Brahma, not the Atman, Jivatma. So therefore there is no question of even knowing the Atman. Yatra Nanyat Pashyati Ityadi Bhumno Lakshana Vidhiparam Vakyam. Because this sentence is intended to define the Brahman, that is Bhuma. Yatra Nanyat Pashyati. So ultimately, Na Anyat Pashyati. He does not see anything at all that is there. Yadha prasiddham eva anyah anyat pashyati tietat upadaya yatra tannasti sa bhumeti bhumaswarupam tatra jnapyate. So in the world also, it is very popular, known to everybody, that prasiddhame anyaha anyat pashyati. So this is alpam. When a person perceives something, knows something, it is limited. Taking that only, yatratan nasti sa bhuma. So there is a state in which this kind of perception is not possible at all. So no perception. That state is bhuma. That is unlimited. Because when you are perceiving something, there is a limitation. When you are not perceiving anything, and that particular state is known as bhuma, that is brahma. Anyagrahanasya prapta pratishedharthatvat na swatmani kriyaastitvaparam vakyam. So ultimately, na, that particular negating particle, that negates everything. Anyagrahanasya prapta pratishedharthatvat. So when something is prapta, it is pratishedha. This is parudasa. That means when something is implied there, it negates that. So naturally, whatever you perceive, that is not possible in that state. So that kind of negation is intended. So therefore, there cannot be any kind of action or kriya in the state bhuma. Swatmanicha bheda bhavat vijnana anupapattihi. And when there is one single atma, there cannot be any difference at all. Therefore, vijnanam, that means knowing or realizing or cognizing something is not possible at all. Atmanascha vijnayatve, if you say that Atma is knowing itself, then jnatra abhava prasangaha. See, if Atma itself becomes the object of knowledge, actually it will lead to anavastha. Because if Atma is the jnaya, then who is the jnata? If it becomes jnaya, then who is the jnata? So instead of going further, because it leads to regresses ad infinitum, better you stop with the Atman itself. Atman is jnana and not jnana kartru. Not even jnana ashraya. Like Nayayika say, it is jnana adhikaranam Atma. It is not jnana adhikaranam, it is jnanam itself. So this is Kevala Dvaiti view. Jnayatvenaiva vinayuktatvat. And jnayatvenaiva vinayuktatvat. Because Atma is known as jnaya in your view. Then when it is jnaya, it cannot be jnatra. So at single time, it can be either jnata or jnaya. It cannot be both. But when you say Atma is knowing Atman, so Atma becomes jnaya, then not jnata. If it is jnata, then no jnaya. So better you understand that Atma is jnana itself. But in the Visishtadvaita also they say, Nirvishayam jnanam na bhavati. So no knowledge is possible without its object. So that's why when you say Atma is jnana, there should be its object. Without object, jnana is not possible. That is their argument. Eka eva atma jnayatvena jnatratvena cha ubhayadha bhavati. So if the opponent says that one single atma can function in two ways, sometimes as jnata, sometimes as jnaya. So both characteristics are possible in the atma. If somebody argues like that, is it possible? In the Brahma Sutra, Karma Kartru Vyapadeshacha, there is a sutra. Actually, it says like that. So the Atman will be perceiving or realizing the Brahman, Karma Kartru Vyapadesha. But here it is clearly stated that the opponent says that Atma should possess both characteristics, as a jnata, as a jnaya. But Shankaracharya says, na, yugapat anamshatvat, because at the same time it cannot be both, because it is not any amsha, it is not any part. Atma cannot have parts. If there are parts, you can say one part is jnata, one part is jnaya, but it is absolutely single. Therefore, you cannot say that both the characteristics exist there. Nahi niravayavasya yugapat jnaya jnatrutva upapatteha. And further, a niravayava thing, niravayava means that which has no parts at all, cannot be jnata and jnaya. Atma is niravayava, that means it doesn't have parts. And if you say that it has parts, naturally it will become subject to destruction. That means it amounts to say that Atma also perishes. But actually Upanishads say that Atma is imperishable. So if it is imperishable, it should be partless. If it is partless, then there cannot be two characteristics like Jnata and Jnaya. Atmanascha ghatadivat vijnayatve jnana upadesha anarthakyam. And if Atma becomes the Jnaya, the object of knowledge, then like pot, then all Upadesha will be meaningless, because Atma is like pot, so it is insentient or inert. So whom actually are you teaching? All your teachings are aimed at some conscious principle. If Atma is like pot, some dead object, then your Upadesha is meaningless. Tasmat jnatritve sati anantya anupapattihi. So therefore Shankaracharya explains that if you say that the word jnana is in the sense of jnata, then anantatva is not possible. Anantyam is impossible. Sanmatratvancha anupapannam jnanakartritvadi visheshavatve sati. Not only that, if the word jnana is taken in the sense of jnana kartru, then satyatva is also, sanmatratva is also not possible. So on account of these two fallacies, better you understand the word jnana in the bhava sense, not as jnana kartru. Sanmatratvancha. What is sanmatratva? Sadeva somya idamagra asid. That sadeva is nothing but satya. Tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvetaketo. This Chandogya Upanishad says tat satyam. That sanmatra itself is satyam, and it is nothing other than the atma. Tat tvamasi. Hai. Tat satyam. First, it points to that particular cause of the universe as Tat Satyam. Then it says Sa Atma. It is none other than the soul here. And therefore, you are not different from that. You are that. Thou art that. That art thou. That is Indic Academy logo or motto. That art thou. Thou art that. That means you are not different from that. You are that, that you. So same thing. So it says that Shrutyantara Tasmat Satyananta Shabdabhyam Saha Visheshanatvena, because the word Jnana comes in the context of other two, Satyam and Anantam, in the same row, in same sentence, Prayoga Bhavasadhano Jnana Shabdaha. So Shankaracharya makes it very clear that the word Jnana is used here in the sense of bhava, not jnana kartru. So here, not only in this context, wherever Brahma is stated as jnana, you understand it is jnayate iti jnanam, jnana matram jnaptihi avabodhaha, natu jnana kartru. Jnanam Brahma iti kartrutvadi karaka nivrityartham mridadivat achidrupata nivrityarthancha prayujyate. So when jnanam is taken in the bhava sense, then automatically it is differentiated from all karaka, like karta, karana, etc. karaka, And again, Achid, the pot, etc., which are lifeless, which are insentient. So this Atma is differentiated from them also. So the single word jnana differentiates the Brahman from all karaka and all insentient objects. Jnanam Brahma iti vachanat praptam antavatvam laukikasya jnanasya antavatva darshanat atastan nivrityarthamaha anantam iti. But if you say jnanam, so people may understand that in the worldly experience we understand jnanam as having end also. It is born and destroyed, so it has some limit. Similarly, Brahma is also limited. People may understand in that sense. Therefore, the next Visheshana, Anantam. So Brahma is Jnanam, but that Jnanam should not be taken in the worldly sense, but it is Anantam, it is endless, because it is the source of all knowledge. Satyadinam Anritadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvat Visheshasya Brahmana Utpaladivat Aprasiddhatvat Mrigatrishnam Bhasisnataha Kapushpa Kritashekharaha Esha Bandhya Suto Yati Shashashrunga Dhanurdharaha Itivat Shunyarthataiva Prapta Satyadi Vakyasya Iti Chet. So this is the opponent's view, who says Satyadinam Anritadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvat. So when you use the word Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, so automatically they are to distinguish this Brahman from the Anrita, Ajnana, Santa. So the word Satyam, this actually distinguishes from all the Asatya. Similarly, Jnanam distinguishes from Ajnana, Anantam distinguishes from Santa. So this way, it actually distinguishes the Brahman from everything. Then Brahman will become Shunya. Like Mrigatrushnam Bhasisnataha. It is talking about a person, son of a barren woman, who has just taken bath in the waters of a mirage, and Kapushpa Kritashekharaha, and has put the sky flower as ornament on his head. Esha Bandhya Suto Yati Shashashrunga Dhanurdharaha, and holding a bow made of the hare's horn. That son of a barren woman is coming. See, if somebody says this, all these sentences carry no sense at all. It is absolutely nonsense, because there is no son of barren woman. If there is a son, she cannot be barren, and he cannot take bath in the waters of a mirage, because mirage is only an illusion, there cannot be water. And he cannot adore the sky flower on his head, because sky flower is a non-existent thing. And he cannot carry a bow made of hare's horn, because hare's horn is not there. So all these are the matters of Atyanta Bhava, Traikalika, Nishedha, Pratiyogitvam. So actually these are all matter of absolute non-existence. Then how can you say these are all meaningless, senseless? Similarly, if you use the word Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma for Brahma, then Satyam Jnanam Anantam, these become absolutely meaningless, and Brahma becomes Shunya. So Shunyarthata eva prapta Satyadi Vakyasya. So it amounts to saying that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma means all these three words are talking about some absolutely non-existent thing, Shunya. Then for this argument, Shankaracharya gives the answer, Na Lakshanarthatvat. We have already tell you again, that these words are not used in the sense of adjectives, but as definition. So these words serve the purpose as definition of the Brahman. विशेषणत्वे च सत्यादीनां लक्षणार्थ प्राधान्यम इत्यवोचाम. And though they are used as adjectives, I have made very clear in the beginning of this bhashya that these are definitions of the Brahman. Shunye hi lakshe, if the thing to be defined itself becomes absolutely non-existent, then anarthakam lakshana vachanam, the definition itself will become purposeless. Lakshanarthatvam manyamahe na shunyarthata. But since these words define the Brahman, Brahman is a positive entity, it cannot be taken as absolutely non-existent. Visheshanarthatvepi cha satyadinam swartha parityaga, swartha aparityaga eva. So, even when they define the Brahman, all the three words do retain their sense. They do not absolutely leave their main sense. That means while retaining their primary sense, they define the Brahman. Shunyarthatvehi satyadi shabdana visheshya niyantratva anupapattihi. And if you say that these words satyam, jnanam, anantam, they refer to a non-existent thing, then visheshya niyantratva anupapattihi. Then these three words cannot be taken as regulating the thing to be defined. What is the thing to be defined? Brahma. And why these three words are taken here as lakshana? They are to regulate that. They are to specify that particular object. That's what the Nyaya Bhashya says. Vyavrittir vyavaharo va lakshanasya prayojanam. So that is the niyamaka there. And that niyantratva will be totally lost. That is the problem. Therefore, they are taken as the lakshana of the Brahman, and they are not to be taken as referring to some non-existent thing. Brahman is verily a positive entity. Satyadyarthaihi arthavatvetu tad viparita dharmovadbhyo visheshebhyo brahmano visheshyasya niyantritvam upapadyate. So, when you take these words satyam, jnanam, anantam as meaningful, then naturally these three words differentiate or distinguish the Brahman from all the other which do not possess those characteristics. Asatya, ajnana, santa, so they are automatically excluded. So the very purpose of this definition is to exclude all the other. So this exclusive principle is used. This is exactly what the sentence in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, adhata, adhato, adesha, neti, neti, atha, ataha, adesha, neti, neti. So the Upanishad says there, neti, neti, 2 times. And that dvirgrahanam, it actually to exclude vasana rashimva, bhuta rashimva, or murtam, amurtam va. Because prakrita etavatvam hi pratishedhati tato brahmeti cha bhuyaha. So actually, if you try to understand the Brahman in limited sense, then this particular neti neti, it actually stops us saying that the Brahman cannot be taken in this much sense. Neti neti, it cannot be murta, it cannot be amurta, but it is beyond that. Because in the Bhagavad Gita also, Ksharas sarvani bhutani kutastaha akshara uchyate. But aksharat paratah paraha, sa purushastu anyaha. So when it says actually the kshara, akshara and purushottama, murta, amurta and parabrahma. So that negation is intended in that sense. So therefore Shankaracharya says, Visheshasya niyantratvam upapadyate. So in that way only these three words exclude everything, and thus they confirmly say what is the Brahman. Tatra ananta shabdaha anantavatva pratishedha dvarena visheshanam. Now coming to Brahma shabdopi swarthena arthavaneva. Actually, when Etymologically taken, the word Brahman means that which is all pervading. Bruha, Brahma, Vruddhau. So that is all pervading. You cannot see a place where there is no Brahman at all. Everything is within the body of Brahman. That's why Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, starting from the Prithvi, everything is the body of Brahman. This is actually the prime theory of Visishtadvaita philosophy also. So everything is Brahman, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. But if you understand something as different from Brahman, that is Asatya, Anrita, it is Ajnana. So this is very important point. So Brahma Shabdopi Swarthena Arthavaneva. So by itself it is meaningful because it means all pervading. And Pratishedha Dwarena Vishesha. Ananta Shabda, coming to the word Ananta in the sentence, what does it say? Antavatva Pratishedha Dwarena. By excluding whatever has limitation, the word Ananta signifies Brahman. And Brahman is unlimited because it is cause of everything. Whatever is modified from that or whatever is imposed on that, it limited, but it is by itself unlimited. Satya Jnana Shabdautu Swartha Samarpaneneva Visheshane Bhavataha. And other two Shabda, that is Satyam, Jnanam. These are also adjectives. Swartha Samarpaneneva. By giving their own sense, that is Satyam and Jnanam. Automatically they exclude other than Satya, other than Jnana. So whatever is not Satya, whatever is not Jnana, whatever is not Ananta, it is actually Anritam, Asatyam, Ajnanam, Santam, and it is Vacharambhanam, and therefore it is not of any essence. And when something is not of any essence, it is called in Advaita philosophy as Mithya. So Mithya is not a word that gives non-existence of everything. It says they don't have purpose. They are not absolutely real. That much is the sense of those words. Tasmad va etasmad atmanah. So coming to the other words in the this Anuvaka, from this Atman, the Akasha is produced or created. Sambhutaha, that is the word used there. Brahmani eva Atma Shabda Prayogad Vedituhu Atmaiva Brahma. So, in this particular context, while saying Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, after using the word Brahma there, Etasmad Atmanaha, so immediately the Vakya continues using the word Atma. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, yes, this Brahma and it is the Atma. So, whatever is the Atma in all the bodies, that is Brahma itself. Atma cha Brahma. This is the conclusion made by Shankaracharya. But taking this word Atma in other sense, they say Brahman is the Antaratma of all bodies. So there is the physical body, gross body, and there is the self, individual self, and the individual self is also the body of the Supreme Self, and that Supreme Self is the Paramatma Brahman. Because Yasya Atma Shariram, that's what the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says. This is Visishtadvaita point of view. But Shankaracharya says this Atma, individual self, is verily the Brahman, but because of our ignorance, avidya, we are unable to understand that in that particular nature. So once we raise ourselves from this ignorance to the higher level, so we get the realization that this Atma is the Brahman. Etam Anandamayam Atmanam Upasankramati. So everywhere Shankaracharya says, everywhere the word Atma is used for Brahman also. So therefore, Atma is Brahma. Tat praveshacha. And not only that, that Brahma enters into that. Tat srishtva tadevanu pravishat. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Satyatyatya abhavat. So here also you find that this Brahman enters into everything as Atma. Tasaiva jiva rupena sharira pravesham darshayati. So thus the Brahman enters everything as Jivatma. Ataha vedituhu swarupam Brahma. So that's why whoever is the Vedita or Jnata or uh, mistaken as the knower or the experiencer in the body, he is verily the Brahman. Vedituhu swarupam. So actually the true nature of this is Brahman only. So in this manner, Shankaracharya explains the three words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. And in this particular discussion, he makes very clear the sense of the word Jnana is not Jnana Kartru, but Jnanam in the sense of Bhava. And it is Jnayate iti Jnanam, Jnanam only. So it is naturally against the view of Visishtadvaitin, it is very clear here. So today we stop here, and in our next class we'll continue. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.